Good morning. Happy Friday. Boy, there's a lot. So, first I want to say first of all, it's Friday, August 28th, 2020. This is Laura from Healing with Spirit. And first, before we get started into the spiritual medicine and meditation, I know some of you have been following and seeing me talk about some of my story and have been sending me messages about how much me sharing my vulnerability and the processing on how I move through these challenges are beneficial. So, with this latest thing that I'm going through, well, the latest layer between my parents' health and now my kids. I may not share, especially with the kids if it involves legal. I may not share everything, but what I will do, only because it's legal, and I have been stalked in the past. So what I'm trying to find a way to do is still share with you my processing and let you bear witness, because what I find is that and my teacher did this a few years ago when I went for training, and they woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning seeing somebody walk out of their Airbnb bedroom with their wallet, their passport, all their money, everything. And they had all the teachers come together and take over for a few hours while they went to the consulate. And when they came back, I got to bear witness to how they are actually, by watching them actually go through a very chaotic, traumatic event, I got to bear witness, not what is spoken in the front of the room, but I got to watch how everything that they teach and have been teaching us, how they implement it and how they work through it. It's the processing. So what I'm hoping to do is to share that same experience, because I found that there is no words to describe what I witnessed that was so beautiful and encompassing. And there were definite lessons in that. So what I'm hoping to do is to share my processing, the good, the bad, the ugly, as I go through the next 3 months, because I feel Spirit keeps telling me it's going to be 2 to 3 months. So, is to share with you the processing, not to get sympathy. Hear me out. It's not to get sympathy. It's to share with you the processing in the sense to bear witness, to know, like, when you're stuck, you're watching me, how I go through it. And then that in itself can be very healing or very reaffirming or whatever you might feel. Okay. So, because we're getting ready to end the month, and energies I am feeling are intensifying. I have been keeping an eye out on the space weather reports, and I haven't seen anything yet. But at the same time, I am feeling a shift. The one of the graphs were actually offline last night, which is telling me there might be some space weather coming in. So we'll just find it after the fact. But so we're going to be kind of taking everything that we've been learning this year. Like, this is a work year. So what is it, as we're getting ready to close out the month, as we're getting ready to close out the summer and going into preparing to close out the year? Well, how are you applying this work? And what comes to mind is a word that we've been reciting since we started these Facebook Lives, 23 weeks ago, something like that. And it's when we do the Gokai. And there's a word in there that we do, it's called, that we recite, and it's called Gyo Hagame. And this is all part of the Jikin and Reiki teaching, so I can't go into it without going into a class. I'm not allowed to, but if you're interested in these teachings, this is a class that I do teach. I'm an approved teacher out of Kyoto, and we're going to be teaching that again probably in November. I'm aiming for the first or second week in November. If you're not local in New England, or well, actually, I've had some people fly in from Virginia, as far as Virginia, for these classes. So I can try to see if I can find a teacher in your neck of the woods or your country, because we do have accredited teachers throughout in various countries. So, but it is a teaching, and Gyo Hagame is about doing our duties fully. And that's a hard one, especially for us as Americans, because it feels like we have been deprived to turn our power over to external forces. And it's hard to take our power back, because while we're trying to take our power back, at the same time, we might feel like we're drowning. And it can get exhausting. And so the card that we're working with today is the Earth. Okay. I really want you to take in this image. All right. So take in this image, the earth. And I feel this image to be quite haunting. It's beautiful, but haunting. And as I'm going to share with you also the process that I'm going through, is look at what I found at 5:30 this morning. Another one. So this is probably, and this is a turkey wing feather. And this, I think, is like, well, as far as wing feathers, this is probably the sixth one I have come across in less than 2 weeks. And I've come across these things every day. And this past last week, Friday, I was going out to dinner and I saw one just like this on the sidewalk. Went to dinner, saw this beautiful sunrise. If you guys want to see it, I can post it in the comments. Just say, yes, post the sunset in the comments, and I will post it in the comments. And that sunset that I will post is from my dinner table at the restaurant. And when we did this, at the same time when we came back from dinner, I'm walking back to my car, and I saw a red-tailed hawk tail feather. So these are like above and beyond signs, right? Like these are above and beyond signs. So this is more than just what we're getting, like a periodical. Oh, this is pretty cool. This stuff right here has been on the daily. So this is part of my processing when I'm getting ready to go into battle, when I have been thrown into the hopper since January, starting with Ava's passing. So it's one of those situations. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Annette from California. So, so this is where, I'm hoping to share some of the processing. And what this helps, I guess this reminds me of when I was early in my healing path, and I was thrown into the domestic violence and not getting justice. And what we're seeing in the Black Lives Matter movement, what we're seeing with women and the abortion debate and all these other aspects, is I lived that. They threw me in jail, not for a crime. And I also was arraigned without my rights. I was never arrested. I was never formally charged. This was an inside thing, and a judge caught on and knew it was illegal. And unfortunately, when I went to the Attorney General's office about it, they resigned within 30 days instead of investigating and getting justice for me. So it was one of those situations. So this is what we're experiencing. And so back then, when I felt like, as a survivor of domestic abuse, that I couldn't get justice, I didn't feel like I was getting these validations. So I was literally about to break. What saved me was spirit and surrendering into that flow when humans failed me, when the system failed me, when the system failed my children. And now that I'm feeling like now I'm getting these things like, look at Hurricane Laura. So that was a sign for me, not to diminish the damage of what happened down in Texas and Louisiana, although Spirit told me the reason why it went there versus Florida was because it was a sign to humans with the amount of oil drilling in the Gulf. Okay, it was the destruction of what we're doing into that region, and it was like, don't fuck with me type of hurricane. All right. And that to me was a sign, like, this is my time after 15 years, that now it's, if I've got this thing where I'm going up against the system again. How do I move forward? This time, I'm much more prepared. This time, despite the pain, I am calling in a different kind of reinforcement. I already consulted 2 colleagues of mine on Wednesday to help me make sure that what I'm getting and downloaded with, including Monday's dream with the cobra, when I woke up with the cobra dream, the black spitting cobra, and all the things that are coming up that even though I feel this nudge like, oh, this is my time, I want to make sure because I do have PTSD and that did get amplified that what I'm seeing is true, that I'm not coming from there isn't something that I'm not seeing, like I'm not stuck in this fog or PTSD loop. So I called in that reinforcement while I'm seeking how do I deal with the system with a court that has been shut down with COVID. Okay. And how do I get justice? All right. So I'm getting these signs. And to be honest with you, this is what is propelling me forward. This is what is helping me to keep going. So when I look at the earth, okay, now when we look, and before I go to the earth again, today's numerology is a 22-4 number. So if you go to the Facebook Live video that I did on Wednesday, August 19th, where I did the live, I went into details on the numerologies because I don't want to spend too much time on that today since I went into the other part. So if you want to know more than what I'm going to give you on the 22-4 number, I would suggest you watch that video where I go into the specifics from a numerology standpoint of what 22 stands for. So 22 is one of 3 master numbers in numerology. And basically what it means is that the 22 is uniting the spiritual world and the material world together. So today we're going to be talking about how do we bridge that with the earth, both the spiritual and the material. So it's trusting our instincts to identify the areas in our lives that we need to place focus. Now, 4, you have been hearing me talk about, is a work year, and it has been quite fucking sucky for a lot of us. All right. But again, when you know how to work with the divine, the things that I'm teaching you, and the things that the classes that are coming out in the fall, one is regarding a series that I did on how to bless your junk, which is like what you're seeing me do with all this trauma and the issues going on in my life. It's because I've learned to harness that component. It's trusting the instincts. It's trusting that wisdom of the body. It's knowing how to take that shit, compost it, and turn it into a superpower. Okay? Because without the shit in your life, you don't know what's good. So that's one of the classes. And the other one is about the empath. And it's about how to become resilient. Some of us know what an empath is. Some of us know self-care. But if we had perfected what we know, then we wouldn't be experiencing the things that we're experiencing. So I added, this is deep work, and it's going to be an 8-week class going into the trenches with this stuff, okay? So the 4-year, I also have 2 blogs on my website in January that talk about this. Also talks about karmic debt, which is what we talked about on Wednesday, right? The karmic debt. And on 4-4, on my blog where I talked about the 4-4 energies with COVID. So I talked about that whole aspect with the 4-year. And there are videos on those 3 aspects on YouTube as well if you prefer to watch them on YouTube. So back to the earth. Is this all making sense? What's showing up for you? Yes, please share. Powerful, Laura. Thank you, Annette. I've seen so much injustice and experienced it for about 3 years. It's been amplified lately. So much is coming to light and the veil is being lifted and I'm going within. Being aware of my surroundings, I think I am being forced to learn patience. That's what I'm focusing on now. And yes, and you're going to learn is it patience or is it pause? Something for you to think about, okay? So the earth. Now we apply all that to what the medicine is today. The earth is very representative of the gift of life. It's the connector, right? It's the connecting piece of what is. It represents the body of the planet, symbolically, the human body and nature. Okay, so like the human body, like the earth is like the representative of the human body. Okay, touche. Yeah, so, and this is a reminder that all creatures, now here's something for some of us that might be hard to digest. All creatures are born from the same mother. So if you don't like spiders, if you don't like snakes, if you don't like your neighbor, then you don't like yourself. Think about that one. So humans are stewards of all life. Okay? And in Jikken and Reiki, the part of the Jikken, because Jikken and Reiki is very rooted in very Japanese Shinto teachings, which Japanese Shinto, from my Americanized perspective, is very similar in alignment with like other indigenous shamanic teachings like Native American spirituality or shamanism, which is actually based originally in Siberia. So it's based along the idea and concepts that humans are the most evolved and are stewards of all life. So it refers to what we make of it and also personal responsibility in our health, wealth, security, grounding, solidity, and stability. So the world of form is a gift from spirit and needs to be treated with respect. Okay, so here's the invitation. And I apologize because my coworkers came in and they turned the air on, so that's the noise you're hearing, and they know better not to do that until after 9 a.m. So my apologies. So, got to work with it. Here's the invitation. You ready? It's when the earth symbol, which has been showing up, by the way, in various aspects, right? When the earth symbol appears, this represents our need to focus on reverence and appreciation for the natural gifts that are coming to us now. Yesterday, to give you an example, yesterday I was like, again, going through that ego. I mean, I was getting better, but like the ego, like, geez, can I do this? Am I going to be able to get the clarity and see through the PTSD and fears, right? And I go into the kitchen, and what shows up that I haven't seen a single one at all year. Within 2 to 3 inches from my kitchen window that halted for at least, I would say a good solid 20 seconds where we had eye contact, was a hummingbird. Again, another sign, right? So here are these things. And I just said, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because to me, that was a sign, again, that also happened early in when I was forced to sell my house. And that showed up then. So that is a great so this is like when you start understanding what shows up in your life and you build that relationship with the natural world, you start seeing patterns. And within those patterns are the messages. So when things happen and you go through cycles, you go, oh, well, this is what happened. So like when I'm seeing the hummingbird this time is it's getting ready to close that cycle that I saw over 10, 15 years ago, okay? So the world, the material world, the concrete world, what we see, whether we like it or we don't, is the grace of spirit. And we are all part of it. And we're all co-creating in it, right? So much can be accomplished now if we just shift our perspective and our focus on compassionate, reverent service to the world. Now, yes, it's going to get very politically fucked up the next 3 months, if not longer. Do not get caught up in the nuances. It doesn't mean you don't take action. It's the energy. What is the energy you are putting out into the world? This is why, like when I put on my Facebook page, I say, The minute you start going Democrat and Republican, you lost me because it's bigger than that. Okay? I invite conversation. I invite debate. But the minute it becomes a us versus them, or a religion, my religion is better than yours, my God is better than yours, then you lost it because it's bigger than that. Okay? So some of the questions when we go into the meditation is I want you to think about if you're feeling ungrounded or easily thrown off, then you might want to look at this earth piece, right? And it might be time to focus on what nurtures you. And I'm not talking about the material nurturing. I'm not talking about, well, my house, my kids, my marriage. I'm talking about what medicine, 5 elements, what medicine is nurturing you. Go bigger. Don't go small. Okay? Focus on what's nurturing you and to open yourself to the healing that our great mother is offering us. Okay? So our great mother is offering us some medicine. When we think small, I've been working with a lot of people with cancer, and I'm seeing, I think I'm on my 3rd client right now that I'm treating between the age of 30 and 35 in less than a year with breast cancer. One of them we just found out we may have linked their breast cancer to EMF cell phone radiation because the doctor said it's just environmental. And then we found out they actually have a sensitivity to EMFs and Wi-Fi. And so this is the thing. How do we get grounded? So it's seeing beyond this. There is, again, in these classes that I'm teaching this fall, we talk about a protein called cryptochromes, which is the scientific protein that links us to insects, that links us to trees, that links us to water is life, that links us to Mother Earth's heartbeat. And it also links us to that frequency of 7.83 hertz. So this is what you are being called in the earth to tap into in that medicine. Okay? I am proud of myself for not watching any of that convention. Unfortunately, I live with somebody who is in love with it all. So I've just learned to create boundaries so I don't absorb it. So lots of raining lately. Great medicine, yes. Okay? So this is the stuff. So if you're interested in learning about this stuff, the empath class that we're doing, the resilient empath is coming up. I'm hoping for early to mid-October for the launch, but we're going to restrict the size of the class to 10, and at least for the initial. And so if you're interested, make sure you're on the email list because we're going to do some specials in there. And also the other one on the Bless Your Junk. So let's get yourself grounded. Get your feet planted on the ground. Give yourself 60 seconds if you need to run outside and put your feet into the ground, then do it, okay? And then what I want you to do is put your hands in gaso, okay? Which is, or prayer position for yourself. And we're going to start with the Gokai, and which is in Japanese. And again, if you want to learn more, my book on healing chronic illness, the roots to chronic illness and trauma through the Japanese system of the Gokai, Reiki and Gokai is in editing. So hopefully we'll have that out too, or you can learn Jikken and Reiki. All right. So here we go. And then we're going to go into the bowls because I'm feeling the bowls. Let me get these ready. So I'm feeling the bowls to bring these in. Okay. So let's go. Take a breath. In through the mouth and into that power center. That power center, if you identify as a woman, is your womb. If you identify as a male, that's your prostate. Breathe that breath into the power center. Feel your feet grounded to our Great Mother, tapping into her pulse as you're doing this. And with the exhale breath, like we've been doing for the last probably month or so, breathing out as that mist or that fog. And with this mist, within it, contains all the subconscious, all the unconscious, all the soul wisdom, the Akashic records, the divine spirit. So when you breathe in to that power center, see it churn like into the belly of the dragon, burning and churning and firing up like the furnace. And breathing out with that mist or fog moving in, through, and around you and intensifying. And what I would like you to do is to call in the mist. Whatever it is, calling in and asking permission for our Great Mother to show you what's the medicine that maybe you're not seeing that needs to be seen. What is it that you need to hear that you're not hearing or sense or feel? Let it reveal itself through the mist or the fog as if it was a scrolling, rolling movie screen. Focusing on your breath, surrendering into the flow of all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. Open yourself to the healing of our Great Mother. Ask her what you need to be nurtured at this time. What is being shown? And if you're struggling with this aspect, that's okay. You don't necessarily have to get a visual. Just take this time for yourself to reboot and to ground. thanking all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. Thanking our great mother. Thanking our Father, Son, and the ancestors. Thanking for showing up, even if you didn't feel like showing up. Seeing if you're seeing any images, seeing it fade back into the mist. And with the inhale breath, bring the breath back in, bringing the mist back in, into the power center. Exhaling what needs to be released through the feet and composting it with Mother Earth. Taking another deep breath in and bringing it into our power center, knowing that at any time you can access this information. You can access this wisdom at any time and compost it out and into the ground. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, move your hands, move your feet. Please share with me your experience. Please share with me what showed up for you during this live. Please share with me if you go, Laura, I couldn't get shit. I am stuck as shit. That's okay too, okay? So, and we're going to be hopefully doing these for an hour, at least once, if not twice a month, for a small fee. So that way we can do the meditations, especially longer than just 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? So let me know things to take with you as we move forward that I want you to think about. Perhaps you have lost the ability to trust that your needs will be met and have fallen prey to poverty consciousness. I know I have. Think about that. Perhaps you have lost the ability to trust that your needs will be met and have fallen prey to poverty consciousness. Perhaps you're not even eating well, maybe overworked, overstressed, overwhelmed, and forgotten to breathe in the beauty of your surroundings. When the spirit of the earth comes as your medicine, you're being reminded that when you practice these self-care, these different types of self-care, like tapping into the elements like we were talking to, tapping into that divine wisdom and the wisdom of the body, and focus on the consciousness of abundance, okay? Miracles can and do happen, okay? Miracles can and do happen. If you haven't taken the poll yet regarding the fall classes, please do. It's in the announcement section. There's actually a couple polls and a couple cute questions in there as far as how to move forward and what you've been getting and not getting. So I know how to, especially with this stuff going on now with my kids, your input is so huge, so I know how to show up for you, okay? It really does matter. And if you feel like you need a one-on-one session, the links are in the description. And if you want to stay in touch with the upcoming classes, the links to subscribe to the emails also in the description, because that's going to be the best way to notify you. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Friday. Okay. Remember those master numbers. Talk to you soon. Arigato gozamashita. See you on Monday, if not sooner.